Hi everyone. Today I want to discuss what we are going through, what it could mean and what we can do about it. So I want to discuss a little bit still COVID, the chaotic situation we are going through and how we can self-organize and find a positive way out of what is going on. So from my point of view, what is the situation? We have chaos outside. We have contradictory messages from our rulers, from companies, from the World Health Organization even, that didn't stop self-contradicting since the beginning of the pandemics. And I think we must consider the movements that are going around us. We have the usual predators from the world of the big companies and to some extent from governments trying to profit the most from the crisis. The question for many predators in high levels of economy, in a way, is not how can we do something for the humankind or the planet or nature, or how can we march together towards a better future. The real question for many is just how can I profit the most from human disgrace, from crisis. This is the question from predators. But many of them are trying to find their answers. Like, now I can pollute again more and profit more because we must recover the economy. And it's obvious that some pharmaceutical companies are moving on with vaccination, but with a low level of real testing. So we will not know the real consequences of vaccines in the long term, even in the middle term, and many times even in the short term, because they are not being properly tested long enough. However, big companies are already trying to enforce them, and they are trying to make sure they will not be legally accountable for the side effects, because they know what they are doing and because they know they want profit. And believing big pharma will try to protect the health of the population is like believing in Santa Claus. It's like believing the big armament industry is interested in peace while their business is war. The same time that ill health is the business of big pharma. So I wouldn't trust those vaccines that much, and I would not trust the mass media because usually they are owned by someone, by big economical interests, and the mass media are all the time now bombarding us with bad news, mostly around COVID, and it apparently helps for people to forget about the huge crisis that corresponds to global warming. It helps people forget about global pollution and the way some big companies are even increasing it. It helps us forget about some wars. And it might help big banks advance with some agendas like suppressing the physical money so they will have all power about everyone, because they will have literally in their hands all of our money. And perhaps we also see around us that huge companies want to over-control the population. Huge companies and many governments that are actually owned by big companies. So COVID is also a reason for many people to try to scare us so much that we will believe that poor reasoning, scarce vision people will have solutions for us. They want us to trust over control as if they would mean to release that over control later, and that never happened in the past. In the past, terrorism has been a good reason for us to accept, apparently, a huge increase in global vigilance, for us to accept being videotaped all the time after we go out of our houses. Now it gets even worse. But that over-control did not go back. At this time, anyway, I think we have chaos around us. We have contradictory informations, we have fake news, and I think those fake news are not just coming from conspiracy theorists. They also come from governments and major companies, and we know they did that a lot of times in the past. Governments and big companies. Let us not forget about what Big Pharma has done in the past, or Big Tobacco. And I think it's time for all of us to instead assert an inner cosmos against the outside chaos. We need to self-organize, to be ourselves, to know who we are, what we want, what we believe, and to fight for ourselves, our children, our future, the future of human generations to be, the future of the planet, the future of nature, not just tribal momentary interests, as we are instructed to do, but global interests of the whole humankind. And no, I'm not talking about globalism, because globalism to me is like a cancer. It's an attempt for a few to control everything on our planet and to assert their values so that almost everyone will become sheep, obeying their manipulation and obeying their commands. I think the opposite is total respect for each individual, for each group, for each nation, allowing them to play their part in a global human concert. This to me is the opposite of globalism, and also in a big deal, this is the opposite of predatory capitalism. We need collaboration and we need love. Love is a main organizing principle for all of us. It organizes our mind in a deep extent. So it's no surprise that we almost never see politicians talking about love. We never see top CEOs from major companies talking about love, because unfortunately they still ignore it. They are extremely far from being experts in it. And we usually don't see big CEOs from top companies or top rulers in our world talking about the planet, nature, the humankind, and the big future ahead, because apparently they are too narrow in their minds. They don't have this perspective. They're at the service of lobbyists, they're at the service of tribal interests, they're at the service of themselves. They forget the rest. So it's time for us to assert love and to be a little bit idealistic, believing in something. And to me, what we must believe now is mostly a healthy planet. It's believing we must really take care with the major problems. It's not just COVID. It's the planet, it's nature, it's the humankind. It's the collective evolution and survival. It's real civilization. And for that, culture is still extremely important. The arts, beauty, Without culture, humanity is not humanity. So let's turn ourselves inside. Let's find love, collaboration, humility also. Let's find a possibility of then expanding to the outside in a good-willing way, in a cosmological way, moving against chaos and asserting ourselves at our best as humans, instead of shrinking in fear, fighting the others, believing they are the enemy when they are not. We are all in this same boat that we might call planet Earth. So let's mostly collaborate, let's be compassive, and let's move on.